Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Tuesday morning mortgage coach call. Every Tuesday morning, 9 o'clock Pacific, we're here to connect as a community of like-minded mortgage professionals that are all working hard to deliver the absolute best sales experience for realtors, for loan officers, and for home buyers. So we've got loan officers helping loan officers, and part of the way you guys are delivering that unique value is not just being note takers and app takers, but everybody on this call, you're a mortgage coach. You believe in using technology, using mobile to turn a rate quote into a mortgage experience, like I said, for home buyers and realtors, because we are mortgage coaches. So I want to do a big shout out to Dan Keller, who has been posting some pretty cool pictures on Facebook. This was from a week ago. He was actually helping a realtor wrapping some finance strategies around a listing to help them sell it, and having that on display with an iPad in the realtor's open house. Great job, Dan Keller. And then this most recent weekend, I just love the way Dan Keller uses photos to tell stories, where he was helping a realtor, sell a home, attract some buyer leads, again, driving mobile experiences and doing things in unique ways. So great job, Dan Keller. Keep doing that. And if anybody else is doing great things like this in realtors' offices or open houses, take some pictures, make sure you share it with us. So today's call, I hope we have 3 guests. Right now, I've got 2 of the guests on, Mr. Aaron Coker and Ken Perry. Jack Daly, you haven't by any chance joined the call yet, have you? So we've got a best-selling author that is on a road tour, and we're going to try to get Jack to jump into a call at some point here. So I will do a formal introduction of Jack when and if he makes the call. In the meantime, we're gonna start it off with Aaron Coker. Aaron, I'm going to do a more formal introduction in just a minute, but we're going to bring some success stories from the trenches and how Aaron is delivering value in today's market. And thanks for making it, Aaron.
Well, thank you.
Right on.
All right.
All right, and then we have a compliance expert, Ken Perry, who is just doing amazing things with educating the industry on how to be more compliant. Ken meets with CEOs, head of productions, around forming policies and strategies. And I think what makes Ken pretty unique in the marketplace is not only is he meeting at a very high level, helping lead great lenders to great policies, he's really good in the trenches. He trains lots of loan officers, and he also just believes in being compliant isn't just the right thing to do. It isn't just required for your career. If you do it right, you can actually be more successful as a salesperson. So Ken, thanks for making time for us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Hey Ken, by the way, before I bring you in more formally, I would love you to kind of co-host this as we interview Aaron, and if Jack comes back into the call when we're having the Jack Daly conversation. So feel free to add some color, ask some questions. But real quick, how many loan officers do you train annually that go through your compliance training?
You know, our CE, we get a couple thousand a year live, and then we've got a ton more that go online and watch our videos and grab that stuff. So our reach is expanding nationwide, just picking up a lot more folks because when we converted to video and converted to the Coop, we really picked up a lot more. So we're in the high thousands on that. Okay, and then in terms of lenders that are actually part of the Knowledge Coop, which is your knowledge-based training system, how many big lenders are part of that program, or just ballpark it? Just so I want to give everybody a feeling for just how much influence and impact you're creating in the marketplace. Yeah, we're in the 40s on total Coops. We're over 4,000 users on just active users inside the Coop, getting our videos and trading and asking questions, and running their companies on it.
Yeah. So I mean, and when you think about that, I mean, that's a lot of loan officers, a lot of impact that you're creating, and a lot of leadership that you can bring back to this call. So again, feel free to co-host this with me until it's your turn for you and I to have a conversation.
Sounds good.
All right, everybody. So I want to remind everybody, connect with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. This call is being recorded, and within a couple hours of today's call, it will be posted in our YouTube page. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube page, subscribe. That way you'll actually get an alert every time we add a new video. And not only are we adding our weekly coaching calls and training calls, when we're creating great lessons and great teachings and how to use new features of the product, we push those in there. So stay connected with us, stay close. So we're going to start with a success story from Aaron Coker. When Jack Daly comes in at some point, we will bring him into the conversation. Aaron, I think this is at least the third time I've interviewed you in a Mortgage Coach coaching call. If you could give a little bit of backstory on what market you're in, a little bit about your mortgage practice, and then we'll get into, the ideas that you want to share with all the Mortgage Coach members.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me once again, Dave. It's great to be back, as always. So I've been in the business probably for about 15 some odd years, and, it's just kind of a lifer. So once you get in the business, you can't get out, and you taste a little bit of the champagne, you have a little bit of success, and you kind of want to keep going. So I've been with RPM almost about 2 years in a management position. Prior to that, I was at Alpine Mortgage, which is a division of Pinnacle Capital Mortgage, in the same capacity for about 6 years. So, I can't say enough wonderful things about Edge and about Mortgage Coach. I think I've been a user since 2004 or so. So it's been quite a long time since I've been using your product. And again, if you're not using it, you're missing the boat, definitely.
Well, it's good to have you. That's a question I like to ask when I have a great producer that's having a lot of success with our product on a call. I'd like to get your why, because when I ask this question to new Mortgage Coach members, usually it's one sentence, maybe two, but the more people use the product, the more the why gets deeper. So everybody who's on this call, I always want you to ask, what is your why? Why are you on the call? Why are you a Mortgage Coach member? Aaron, you don't have to read this out loud, but if you could just share your why in a little more detail in a way to inspire the team.
Well, I think this Edge takes a lot of the shopping out of the equation, because clients are inundated with data on the internet, obviously, and there's this article and that article that tells them what to do. And it's a very complex process for someone who hasn't gone through it before, but we go through it every single day, so it's pretty easy to us. So what Edge does, it really simplifies the delivery of the data. And obviously the technology is very cutting edge with the video integration. I get so much positive feedback when I send my total cost analysis reports and there's a video attached. I mean, people just love it. And it's also that the whole instant gratification piece. I mean, I think society today is based on I want it now, I want it fast. I mean, you look at Amazon, you get the Amazon Prime membership, you get your delivery in 1 or 2 days. We want everything now, and this is exactly what Edge does, because it gives the data, the real-time data. When a realtor's out there with the client looking at a property, the information is available at the touch of a button with an iPad or an iPhone or a Droid or whatever platform you may be using. So that's kind of my why in a nutshell.
Fantastic. Well, let's do this. I know you've got some success stories to share. You have some ideas to share. So I have just pushed the screen to you so you can be the presenter. So go ahead and share your screen and walk us through some of the ideas and thoughts that you think will be helpful to other Mortgage Coach members.
Okay, so for me, I want to talk a little bit about just how you can get more business out there. And the market shifted dramatically, about October of last year. It became more of a purchase market and a refi market. So I kind of recognize that. We recognize that as a company and wanted to get ahead of the game a little bit. And I think one of the first steps, I'm going to give you four key steps that I think are important to developing those realtor relationships, and at the same time a few success stories I've had out there, and just kind of a global picture. And this is I did a presentation, a seminar about a month and a half ago downtown here in Portland, and I had this slide up here, just changing the guard. You got Ben Bernanke, Janet Yellen taking over. And it was funny, in the audience, Portland is obviously a unique place. There's always the Keep Portland Weird bumper stickers everywhere you go around here. And I had somebody in the audience who raised her hand, and she was a little offended that Janet Yellen was on a broom. And I thought that was kind of funny. And when I see this picture, I'm thinking Harry Potter and Quidditch. And but in Portland, you get a little different perspective, a little bit different dynamic here in this marketplace. So definitely we've seen the market shift. Obviously, Bernanke and the loose economic policy with QE3, that's getting tapered and coming to an end. But I think if you dig deep and you look at where the economy's headed, yet GDP in the first quarter was essentially flat. There's not that growth out there in the economy. I think we're in for a good ride for the foreseeable future in terms of rates not getting too out of control. There's a lot of markets out there have inventory issues, Portland being one of them. And if you just do what you need to do with those realtors, I think you can have a great year and a great career if you're going to make a career out of this. So there we go. There we go. So I use a lot of economic data. I think it's important to come across as professional and educated. And this is a good slide, I think, that really just shows, and I like to share it with clients and referral partners, just shows where the market has gone and where it's come and where we are today down here at the bottom. The rates are still low. I mean, they're not going to reach those low levels we saw in the low threes a year or two ago, but it just gives the client a good perspective that, hey, if they're giving you a hard time for a rate at 4 3/8 or 4 1/4, just take some perspective here and see where things were 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. So I like to take this big picture approach and just to give them an idea of where the economy has been and where we're headed moving forward. So let's see here. There we go. And I think one of the key components that I think is often overlooked with Edge is that the rate watch technology here. And what I like to do for my clients, again, I don't want to. I think it's a Todd Duncan thing, professionally confuse them. Is that right, Dave? I think Todd mentioned that.
I mean, it is a term that I've heard leaders in our industry use.
Mm-hmm. So I like to share these screenshots with my clients so they know what's going on with the market and how interest rates are dictated. You know, we look at mortgage-backed securities. I believe this is a Fannie Mae 4% coupon, and I just like to show. I simply tell them I take a snapshot of this. I send it to the client in the email. I let them know red is bad, green is good. So it gives them an idea, okay, where is the economy or where is the mortgage market today in relation to where it was 3 months ago or maybe even a year ago or 6 months ago, just to give them perspective that, hey, things are looking good right now. And this is a good tool to use to get a lot of your clients who may be sitting on the fence, who may not be sure they want to list their property and buy a new property, to let them know that this is a good time right now with rates being where they are. We saw a nice little bump last week, and I think there's a great opportunity out there for us to get on the phone with our referral partners and our clients just to let them know that, hey, we're at all-time lows for the year. It might be a good idea to take advantage and jump all over it. So that's kind of one of the key things I like to do, is just share some of this economic data with my clients to let them know where the market is, where the market's headed. And I use that term client. I think our clients aren't only the people that we're giving loans to. Our clients are also our referral partners and the people we cater to on a daily basis, and in particular, realtors. So we have to treat realtors the same way we treat our clients. And I think it's very important to develop those realtor relationships. Admittedly, I have never been a big realtor guy. I've only had a handful, and when I say a handful, I mean a couple that I've really focused on and got business from. So that's been a big push for me the last 6 months or so, is to develop those realtor relationships and, you know, kind of cultivate them and move forward. So I think there's 4 key steps, in my opinion, that can help you get those realtor relationships and get them on board. And I think the first thing starts with the fact that—
Hey, Aaron?
Yeah,
Aaron?
go ahead.
Hey, but before you jump off that slide, I wanted to, you know, the concept of, you know, and I've heard a lot of industry leaders, I don't want to mention any names, use that term professionally confused. I want to repurpose that philosophy in our industry, and the leadership I want to provide to everybody is, first of all, I don't think that's a term that the CFPB would like, and I don't think it's a term that, as we want to go and we want to be leaders to our clients, we need to get off of that. I think we need to be teachers to our customers. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, when you really think about that term that started getting used 20 years ago from stage, that's what it was all about. It was like, teach something to people. Mm-hmm. You know, when you can bring leadership and teachings, that's powerful, that's valuable. And at the end of the day, when you can take something that's complex and make it simple, that's leadership. That's valuable. And I think, so again, not to give you a hard time, Aaron, or any other, I've got a lot of good friends who say that from stage still. I think, you know, the leadership I want to bring to everybody on this call is, you know, we don't want to use that term. We don't want to think like that. We want to be teachers and leaders to our customers. We want to be the ones that take an incredibly complex process. You know, getting a loan is incredibly complex. It's very emotionally taxing, and we want to give you simple mortgage options, and we want to take this confusion in the marketplace, and we want to make it really simple. So I did want to bring that leadership to the call, and I do call out to everybody, you know, let's quit using that term. and let's just say we want to be teachers to our customers. Anyways, go ahead.
It's a behind closed door term, Dave. Don't use that.
Well, you know what? I mean, again,
I agree with you.
I don't think. Wait, I want to talk because I don't think it should be a behind the closed door term anymore. I think we need to just stop using that term and that thinking. The new generation is what's right for the borrower is right for us, and the loan officers and the companies that create a culture around that and to create business practices around that are going to just radically thrive in the new tomorrow. So, so I just think again, let's move on. I want to just make sure we bring that leadership in there and keep that in mind. And I'm not even going to give Ken Perry a chance yet to talk because he would just go on for about 10 minutes right now.
Yeah, and I think this is education right here, and I probably misspoke, but because we
don't worry about it.
Yeah, okay.
Don't worry about it, bro. Let's move on.
Water under the bridge, right, Dave? All right,
let's rock it out.
Yeah, so when I look at I look at success with realtors, I think the first key step is to actively listen. A lot of times, and again, I've been guilty of this, when you're meeting with a new realtor, you just want to show up and throw up. So you want to give them as much information about your company, all the great things you can do for them, without even finding out what's their pain. I mean, it's really important when you're interviewing realtors is to just listen, ask questions, ask why. I mean, continually ask why. Why is that important? Why do you want to close on time? Okay, why? So that will help you dig deeper and find some more solutions for them, as opposed to just giving them a bunch of information and they're going to forget about you and they're going to say, oh, that guy or gal just talked the whole time. All they did was talk about themselves and nothing more. So I want to jump into a quick success story here. And this is a particular client who, again, this is at a realtor. That's some clients who were kind of on the fence, hemming and hawing, have made some offers on some properties. They're getting discouraged, not quite sure they want to keep moving forward in the buying market. So I took the time to put together what's the cost of waiting to buy a house with a sales price of $470,000 right here, and what if you waited, another year? What would happen with that sale, that property price and the interest rate? So we know housing prices are going up. So if I use a conservative estimate of 4.3% appreciation here, I believe this same house, that $470,000 house, will now be selling for $520,000. And all the experts out there believe rates are going to go up. So with the increase in interest rates, I believe this one I set up on a 80-10-10. I believe that's why it's a blended rate. You can see that the cost of waiting for this particular client is approximately $322. So what I did with the realtor, I showed up to the realtor's office. The clients were there with their kids. They had a very nice big screen LCD TV, put Mortgage Coach up there, just walked them through all this data to show that, hey, this is what could potentially happen if you wait to buy a year down the road. So it was kind of an eye-opener for them. They're going to take some time to kind of do some soul searching and to determine what they want to do, but at least we're giving them the data, using Edge to provide that data to show them, okay, this is how much you're losing by waiting another year to buy a property, because we all know that it's not the heyday of 03, 04, 05 where housing prices are going up dramatically. There's not a lot of new construction in my market, so there's a finite amount of inventory, and it's supply-demand economics. The more people want to buy, there's less inventory, greater demand. That's going to push the price of whatever supply on the market upwards. So
I want to jump on that one because, I mean, this is a great example where you are totally making something complex. And when you think of a typical home buyer or realtor and they're looking at, hey, should I buy now or should I buy later, it's just like a back of the napkin up in their head. And so I think this is really awesome where you kind of bring it all down. What are your assumptions on where values are going? What are your assumptions on rates? What do you have today? And then in a really simple buy now, or if your assumptions come true, buy later. This is just a great example of where you're being a teacher. I mean, you are being an advisor that is helping something take something that's confusing. It's back of the napkin. It's not in writing. No realtor is running these numbers with their home buyers. So you're providing a tangible service to the home buyer to help them make an informed decision based on their beliefs. And you're providing something that's incredibly valuable to a realtor by helping their customer get some personal clarity around buy now, buy later. So I bring this up as just awesome value, brother. Tim Perry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'd say that the realtors don't see what we do on a daily basis, and they were just wowed by the presentation and the technology. I mean, they couldn't get enough of it.
Kid Perry, anything you want to add at this point in the call? You've been pretty quiet.
Yeah, I'm digging this. This is just such a great way to be able to help a borrower actually achieve their goals versus just, throwing stuff out there or, just assuming the sale. This is really cool.
Good, good. So, by the way, Aaron, just to give some examples, because the epiphany I have with so many loan officers that are on the call that are Mortgage Coach members, they all have access to Edge, they all have access to the apps, but until they actually have that conversation with a realtor, that the light bulb turns on, they don't get it and feel it. So, I mean, two things I'd like to do, and maybe it's part of your presentation, so I don't want to steal your thunder. But are you going to get into how you approach this with realtors and what they actually say?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, then I'll be quiet and I'll let you keep rolling, and we'll get to that when we get to it.
All right, I will keep rolling. So again, getting back to success with realtors, I found this little comic, and I think it's very telling. How did we ever communicate before this technology? Beats me. So this leads me to my next point is communicating with realtors. I think it's a very key component in developing those relationships is communicate, 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 and over-communicate. If I have a realtor calling me for an update, I'm not doing my job. So I make a point during every transaction of calling both the listing agent, the selling agent, once a week to give them an update. Even if there's no information to pass along, I'm just letting them know, hey, everything is A-okay, we're moving forward, or hey, the appraisal's back, or docs have been ordered, or the loan has been underwritten and approved. And on top of the communication on the telephone, I also make a point of sending email updates when we hit a certain phase throughout the transaction. So again, if the appraisal has been ordered, when the appraisal comes back, I let the buyer's agent know this is the value of the property. When the loan has been approved, I let them know via email, and also when docs have been ordered, I let them know via email. So it's kind of an over-communication, but I can't tell you how much positive feedback I have received from this particular approach of over-communicating. And if you're looking to get more realtors, a great way to go about it is you have a client, one of your clients, you've got the buyer's agent, you may or may not know the buyer's agent, but you have the listing agent, and it's a good way to set up the expectation up front to let the listing agent know, hey, look, here, this is what I'm going to do for you all throughout the process, and if you deliver, you're more than likely going to be able to get that appointment with that listing agent. And I've had several appointments with listing agents whom I've never met before, and then now they're referring me business. So again, it goes back to that communication piece. Well, that's a big, I think, a big something that's missing out there, for lack of a better word, in our industry, where there's loan officers who don't communicate with their agents. I mean, they just don't talk to them, and then they're wondering what's going on. That's one of the biggest complaints I hear is just that nobody's communicating to me. I don't know where we are. He's a nice guy, but never calls, or can't get a call back. So be on top of your business. Communicate with your agents. Let them know where you are in the process. Then here's another success story, Dave. I think I really like the showing clients the benefit or the lack of benefit for having mortgage insurance or not having mortgage insurance. A lot of times clients these days don't have that 20% down payment, so we need to find solutions for them. And for me, 9 times out of 10, not having mortgage insurance is a great way to go. And this, oh dang it, I'm an amateur PowerPoint user here, Dave. I apologize.
It's all good.
So, yeah. So if we look at the no MI approach, 9 times out of 10, if you do a single premium, it's going to make the most sense for that client. And I really like what Edge delivers in showing the client what not having MI can do for them. And I really like to focus down here on the savings over a finite period of time. So this just shows 20 years down the road, they're still ahead without having mortgage insurance, doing that single premium, financing into the rate as opposed to going with MI. So what I like to do is say, okay, apples to apples comparisons. Let's take our monthly savings of $96 a month. Let's apply that towards the mortgage payment each and every month. And you can see that even though the rate is higher, it still makes sense 20 years down the road. So again, the lowest rate isn't always the best rate. I want to emphasize that, and I want to make sure you share that with your clients, your customers. The lowest rate is not always the best rate, and Edge is the perfect tool to deliver this data. We're always going to have those rate shoppers out there, but if you could take the time to sit down with them, get in front of them, show them this data, do your total cost analysis, it's going to save you a lot more deals. You're not going to lose those deals to those rate shoppers, to the credit unions, or wherever they may be going. Any comments, questions?
No, you're rocking it out, man. Keep it going.
All right, good deal. So moving on, again, success with realtors. I think follow through and honoring your partners. This is kind of an extension of communication, doing what you say you're going to do. So if you make a point of saying I'm going to call you every week with an update, you better call every week with an update if you expect to get that appointment moving forward. And when you're meeting with the clients, what I mean by honoring your partners is if you get a referral from a realtor, you need to talk that realtor up to the client. Let the client know how great they are, how great the realtor is, how lucky they are to be able to work with Jane Doe or John Doe from XYZ Realty, because it just shows that you want to create more referrals and more relationships. And if that client leaves your office, and they're probably going to call the realtor after they leave their office, and they're going to tell the realtor, geez, he had nothing but great things to say about you. So I want to make a point that make sure you honor your referral partners, put them up on a pedestal, let your clients know how great they are, how lucky they are to be working with the referral partners. And I want to go to another success story. I don't have a slide for it here, but I had a client whom I sent the total cost analysis to, and when I get the client's permission, I like to copy the realtor on that email for the total cost analysis. So I did that for this particular client, and I got alert after alert after alert email from this one client who kept on looking at the presentation. So Dave, as you know, you new listeners, new adopters out there, when you send a total cost analysis out to a client and they close that link, you're immediately notified via email how long they've been looking at the total cost analysis. So my approach, what I like to do is I like to send the email out to the client. I have just a email template that I use. I copy and paste the link in there, send it to the client. When they close that link, I usually like to make a point of picking up the phone, giving them a call and saying, hey, did you get a chance to take a look at the data I sent over? So it's top of mind. They just got done looking at it. And then that's when you kind of dive in and go through the data and go through the presentation. So what happened in this particular instance was I kept on getting these alert emails over and over. I'm like, why does this guy keep on looking at this over and over and over? So what had happened was this particular agent was so wowed by the video messaging and the content and the delivery that this agent actually shared the link with other agents in his office, and they were looking at it, and they were one after another. So it kind of created that viral effect. It grew, and more people are seeing the value of what Edge offers at the end of the day.
Beautiful. I mean, you are obviously using all the tools, and you're obviously delivering great value. So a couple questions just to make this actionable for some Mortgage Coach members. So you're forwarding this over. First of all, how do you pre-frame the report so that when they get it, they open it, and it has context? You know, what is your pre-framing?
So typically what I do, if I'm meeting face-to-face, I'll actually go over the analysis in the office, and I'll let them know I'm going to send it to them by email. And if not, if I'm talking to them on the phone, communicating that way, I'll let them know, I'll get them pre-approved, and I'll let them know, hey, I'm going to send you an analysis. We're going to go through a couple comparisons here. So I send an email. My email simply says, click the link below for your analysis and let me know what questions you may have. I have click me, with the link, and then I'll talk to you soon. So it's as simple as that. And I mean, I don't like to overcomplicate things. I don't like to put I see these long, drawn-out emails from other loan officers. Not just, again, it's too much data, too much information. I like to keep it simple. Simpler is better for me.
Okay, and then when they click on it, they go through it. What's the first thing you say? Do you say, hey, I am sitting here at my desktop waiting for this alert, and I noticed you just watched it, and I'm calling you because you did? I mean, probably
no,
not.
I don't. No, I don't. No.
I know, but what do you say?
I just nonchalantly say, hey, it's Aaron from RPM. Just want to give you a quick call and see if you had a chance to take a look at that data I sent over. And they'll say yes because I know they looked at it. Then, hey, are you in front of your computer right now? I can walk you through it and kind of show you everything. And then we just go through the data. And then the video messaging, I try to keep it as short as possible. So anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute. If it's somebody who I've gone through several analyses with, I'll probably, I've done some updates. I'll probably give a little bit longer message, but I want to give like a hook. I want to have a reason for them to talk to me. I don't want to just blah, 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 blah throughout my video and leave a 2 or 3 minute video. People get bored. Again, it goes back to that instant gratification piece. Just keep it short and simple, and then get them on the phone, and you can walk them through the data on the phone.
No, this is fantastic. So everybody, I don't know if you're noticing it, but when you hear Aaron, I mean, it's obvious that he's a leader, and he's well-informed on the market. He studies it. he's an expert. It's obviously that he cares about his customers' best interests and delivering the best advice to them. And it's pretty obvious that he just keeps it pretty simple and lean. So I mean, first of all, I love all that. And I would just ask everybody who's listening to this, write down what are you taking away from Aaron, and then that would really improve your success levels. So if you're under 5 loans a month right now and you're on this call, how do you stack up on a scale of 1 to 10 at being a leader? How do you stack up on a scale of 1 to 10 being an expert? How do you stack up on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being every single one of your customers you're delivering awesome mortgage options, and you're actually taking something confusing and complex and you're making it simple? Where are you at? And if you're not at an 8+, to me that's what makes this call actionable. I know you've got some more ideas to share, but I just feel like you've already given anybody who's closing less than 5 loans a lot of value. And for anybody that's closing over 5 and you're a top producer, hopefully you're getting some great reminders. And I would love in the Q&A part of GoToMeeting, if you have some questions, I'm going to be looking for those. And also if you have some big takeaways that you want to share with other members, let us know what those are, because we'd like to share those on our LinkedIn page and our Facebook page. So Aaron, I do want to get Ken into the call in the next 5 minutes or so. So yeah, feel free to keep sharing. Don't feel rushed, but let's net it out in 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, I got my timer sitting here on my desk, my little iPhone stopwatch going, so I'm all over it. So there's two more key points I want to emphasize here. Number one has to do with edge, and when you're doing that analysis. Obviously, you have an option of, I think it's up to 4 comparisons. I like to keep it, again, simple. If you give a client too many options, they're going to get confused, and they're not going to know which way to go. Just like a client getting 3 or 4 good faith estimates, it's all confusing. And in my opinion, the good faith has, maybe Ken could speak to this, done a disservice to the client, because it's really not a true representation at the end of the day of what that true cost is for the client. So I always like to refer my clients, obviously get a good faith estimate, but I always like to refer them back to the edge analysis, because that's going to be the accurate data at the end of the day. I like to keep it updated as we go through the process with prepaids, taxes, insurance, things of that nature. But what I want to make a point of saying is just keep it at 2, in my opinion. If you're given a couple, just give them 2 options. I mean, the more you give them, the more they become confused. Just keep it simple, 1 or 2. If they want to look at 10% down and 20% down, if they want to look at what does MI look like and what does no MI look like, or what does FHA look like compared to 5% down conventional, just go that route. But again, don't give them too much information, because it will confuse them at the end of the day. And but at the same time, you want to cater to their needs and listen to what their needs are. So I think, does that make sense, Dave?
Makes total sense.
Okay, so lastly, last point here on success with realtors, I think this is very telling here, if I get the right screen. He knew everything about his girlfriend apart from what she felt and thought. And this kind of goes back to my points about with realtors is you got to listen, you got to understand what their needs are, you have to understand what their pain is, and you got to cultivate that relationship. People work with who they like. This is something I've said for years and years and years. I can think about instances where I've purchased things. I purchased things from people I like. I like my CPA. I like my financial advisor. I like my insurance guy. I work with them because I like them. And that's what you want to get when you work with realtors. You want to cultivate that relationship. You just don't want it to be a transaction. You want it to be a relationship. So throw a happy hour, go to lunch with them, get coffee, do things outside of the office that are not work related, and you'll really see that you're going to get more referrals by doing that. I honestly believe that, and I think it's very true. And that's what I have in closing, Dave.
Well, I, first of all, really appreciate you taking the time to prepare for this call. I think you've delivered a lot of great value to the Mortgage Coach community. If you could confirm that you can see my screen now, Aaron, do you see it?
Confirmed, yes.
Good, good. So, I mean, you've got a deep why. You're a Mortgage Coach member. You're doing all the right things in terms of delivering value, making complex concepts simple, taking the most common scenarios that are happening in your marketplace, and you're driving those. You're teaching people things, new things. So hopefully Mortgage Coach members, I mean, these are 2 great strategies that Aaron's doing a lot. What are the most common comparisons that you're doing in the marketplace? Make sure you've got templates set up so that you can literally just go from this scenario no MI versus MI. You could copy it, and in 2 minutes, you could create another MI versus no MI analysis. Whatever those most common loan comparisons you have, hopefully you're creating them. So Aaron, stay on the call. Feel free to join in on the conversation with Ken and I right now, but I want to transition to how can you turn compliance into your friend and actually into a competitive advantage. So from my perspective, no better teacher than Ken Perry. He's just a tremendous human being, and he's also just a fantastic teacher that not only understands compliance in our marketplace, but understands how to take that and turn it into a sales strategy and be more successful as a salesperson. So Ken, why don't we kick it off around your Mortgage Coach why? Why are you a fan of Mortgage Coach, and why do you recommend it to loan officers?
Right on. And sorry, let me clear my throat a little bit. First off, before I get too deep, Aaron, that was awesome. And I love seeing just somebody taking their job more seriously and taking their role in the transaction as more of a coaching and a strategizing role instead of just being, sales guy running around trying to get leads. So, David, do you have my why on the slide there?
Yeah, it should be shown.
Okay, cool.
It should be shown. Aaron, are you seeing it?
I don't see the why. Sorry. Thank you for the kind words. While
you're grabbing that, I'll tell you it was hilarious. I wrote my why maybe 19 times. I've got so many whys. The first thing that stayed consistent in all of my whys was that first comment. It's 2014. I am just seeing insane amounts of loan officers, not insane yet, but getting insane amounts of new loan officers coming into the business that are younger, that are super tech savvy, and I'm seeing more borrowers in every bit of research I do. Borrowers are way more tech savvy now. I mean, the American consumer is using social media more now. I mean, every year it increases the way that they're using social media, the way that they are comfortable with technology. And I think it's funny that we're the only industry that one of the only industries I can think of that hasn't actually changed our technology much at all. Dave, you're one of very few companies that has really embraced technology and given people a chance to use it in a way that's going to get them more business. And so when I look at why you'd use Mortgage Coach as a borrower, I have expectations. I expect my loan officer to deliver a lot of information. You think about the old days when we used to use those yellow pads that you always make fun of, Dave. In the old days, that actually was the bulk of the information your borrower got. They couldn't jump online and do research, which means they couldn't jump online and see everybody else offering better rates. And so the sales process was different back then. And we're seeing this new phasing out of that working. And a new, the new borrower, they don't need a lot of the stuff we used to give them. They don't need. They can just Google whatever they want. What they get from us is really that planning side, that strategy side, the advice, and being able to deliver technology that helps a borrower understand all that. So that's kind of my why. You can see what I wrote down here, but everybody's mobile. Everybody's running around, doesn't have time for anything. We have right now the millennials are the most scheduled generations in history. Everybody's doing everything, which means parents are driving from here to there, dropping kids off at soccer, dance, karate, whatever. There's no time to sit at my computer and review things. There's no time sometimes to come into your office. But, if I can pull something up on mobile and see what you're doing for me, that just makes sense. And so that's what I'm digging.
Good. So, Ken, this is a conversation that we've had a couple times. And by the way, I've had a few people mention if you could just speak up just a little louder. I can hear you okay, but some people can't, so just an FYI, Ken.
Sure.
But
I've never been told that before.
I know, especially if they see you live on stage. It's obviously the phone connection. But, we talk about so many loan officers in terms of how they're just shouting out rates, how they're delivering value pre-GFE or even during the process, and we have to go, why are you better than an internet lender or a big bank? And I think, lots of loan officers really need to ask themselves that question, and I think when they are honest in answering that, there's really not a big why. And I know you're pretty passionate about this because you and I have talked about it a lot. What's your take on this? And again, I've taken that video that you and I created a few months ago and I've just created kind of a conversation around it for the next 15 minutes or so. But first of all, what's your take on this? And then let's talk about it, like the video that we created.
Yeah, perfect. This is big with me right now, and it just occurred to me as I look at LO comp plans, people are choosing either a high or a low LO comp plan. And I always wonder what makes them choose high and what makes them choose low. If they're choosing the higher comp plan where they're getting a lot more money, then is it because they deserve it? Is it because they do something different? Or do they just want to make more money? And this all came out of a conversation I had with a buddy of mine, not in the industry, who asked me to review a good faith estimate. When I looked at it, the rate was crazy high. And it occurred to me that loan officer had just taken a higher comp plan over everybody else. And I went back to my buddy and I said, what is this guy doing for you? What justifies that higher rate? And he couldn't tell me. He said, well, I don't know. I asked him, and he sent over this good faith. And, I mean, first off, what a horrible process to just talk to a borrower and ship off a good faith and think everything's going to go great. Even for somebody who's been doing business with you in the past, that still doesn't work. You're earning it every time. Especially if you're charging a higher price, you've got to earn it. And so that led me into just kind of thinking about what is it that makes somebody worth that much more. And if you can't explain it, then you're going to lose way more deals because the borrowers need you to justify yourself for the price you're charging, or they'll shop you. And when we've got, as a company, one of our competitors just came out with this ridiculous rock bottom deal. He's just not somebody I would ever, send business to, but he's chosen to be the low-cost leader, which means his quality is not going to be the quality that, you can't charge that little and have great quality. So if you make the decision, I'm going to be the cheapest guy in town, you really don't have to provide much service because you're looking for that borrower that just wants cheap. But if you choose, hey, I want to be the highest quality, then, yeah, raise your rates and explain what you're doing differently. And that's what I'm brainstorming with our clients right now is what is it that makes you different. Listening to Aaron, I think it was pretty obvious what makes Aaron different. Yeah. That consultative approach.
I'm raising my comp. I'm raising my comp.
So
you should.
So think about it, Mortgage Coach members. When you think about where you're winning the business and where you're really delivering value, I mean, at the end of the day, if the whole loan doesn't go smooth, if you don't close based on your commitment, both from a time and a financial standpoint, I mean, not only is that a compliance problem, that's a future business problem. But where the decision is made, where the value is created, it's the pre-GFE. And obviously, we've invested a lot of time and money at Mortgage Coach, and we do a lot of education like today's calls, so that, you need to ask yourself, do you just quote rates, or do you deliver an experience? And is that an experience that's a wow to the home buyer, where it's exceeding their expectations? So Ken, just imagine if you would have asked your guy that question, and he was working with Aaron, and he's like, well, he's given me great counsel on what's happening in the marketplace. He's a market expert. And, when he delivered me mortgage options to me, one, he helped me make an informed decision. It was this amazing presentation that really helped my wife and I net it out. And my realtor loves this guy because he's seen this information. It would be a really obvious why at the point of sale, I think. So, I mean, Ken, what's your take on that? And Aaron, feel free to jump in because you're the guy doing this in the streets all the time. Mm-hmm. Ken?
Yeah, he wouldn't have called me. If he would have gotten a great deal, I mean, he called me because he's like, hey, can you take a look at this rate? Well, now I haven't done a loan in 12 years. I mean, I've been running my company for 11, and it was a year before that I had done my last mortgage. So he's calling a guy who hasn't done a loan in 12 years to review his good faith because he sees me as more of an expert than he's seeing his loan officer. So if that loan officer would have sat down with him and done this, given him the full edge experience, he doesn't call me at that point because he has an expert. If they're calling somebody else, it's because they don't see you as the expert in the business, which means you've got to do everything you can to get that out there as early as possible to pull that shopper off the market. We really only shop when we feel like we, aren't getting a great experience or we're there's no value in there except for price. So that's how that would have gone.
I would add that try to meet with as many of your clients as you can face-to-face as opposed to over the phone or whatever, internet, email, because you're going to get that. If you present yourself professionally, suit and tie or a nice suit, whatever works for you, think that makes a big difference because they see that, okay, I'm working with someone who knows what they're doing. And I'd use an example. If you go to a Smith or a Morgan Stanley or a UBS or an Ameriprise office, are any of those advisors wearing flip-flops and a Tommy Bahama shirt and cargo shorts, jeans? The answer is no. They're suited and booted every single day, and that's kind of my philosophy. And if you're going to be professional, act professional. And if you're going to deliver a service, you expect a certain amount of compensation. You better act the part. You better deliver what you say you're going to deliver.
So I want to. Oh,
can
go
I
ahead,
add
Ken.
something to that, Dave?
Feel free.
So much of that too, though, is knowing your client. I mean, if you're working in a marketplace where you're just getting a ton of referrals from millennials, people, first-time home buyers, younger folks, know that client. Know if they're going to be intimidated by a suit or by, even Class A office space. There's just a lot of clients who care about a lot different things nowadays. All the reports I'm reading on the millennial studies, dress it up depending on your region and where you're working and stuff like that. But a lot of the millennial studies, it's what, who are you, what does the relationship feel like, and what does the, what kind of expertise are you bringing? You have to prove yourself to your millennials every day. So yeah, I totally agree. Dressing to the part is a great concept for most of your borrowers. There's just this new crowd that is so much. I mean, you could be wearing a Speedo when you walk in. Don't do that. That's when you walk in the room. And there's still, if you walk in with great data and prove that you're smarter than they are, which I say that seriously. Millennials think, and this is just the studies we're reading, millennials see themselves as the smartest person in the room. And so you've got to come at them with great data so that they don't go out and, and feel like they have to go out and one-up you or whatever. It's bringing in great data that they care about versus the formality. So don't be afraid, even if you're somebody who loves to dress up, don't be afraid with some borrowers to have a completely different sales process, a completely different, clothes you wear. Don't get all cheesy and stuff and be like, right off. But, obviously you want to attach yourself to that client. Just like you wouldn't email, a millennial, you would text them. You also want to make sure that you're vibing with them as well.
No, great point. I do want to just add to the concept of an in-office meeting, whether it's in a real estate office where you're having a pre-qual conversation, whether you do bring them into your office. I'm hearing more and more mortgage coach members that part of the way that they roll is they've got their laptop and they hand the borrower an iPad, and they're driving a mortgage experience. So literally, while the loan officer is creating things on the desktop or the laptop, it's moving on the mobile device, whether you hand it to the iPad or whether they're just looking on their own mobile phone. And make sure that when they do come into the office, or whether you meet them in the real estate office, make sure they get that app downloaded so that you can continue to drive and edit those mortgage options, both in your office and out of the office. So I just want to drive that. Aaron, are you doing that by any chance?
No, but one of my guys is, and I do talk about the app and the mobile app, and but I don't actually have them download it. Although I do have a coworker who pulls out his iPhone and shows them the app and has them download it. So that's something I'll start doing.
Good. So I want everybody to ask a couple more questions. Are you forward thinking? We all know that the GFE is going to change again. And by the way, kudos to the CFPB. I really think they've moved the next round of the GFE to a much more simple output that's really going to help home buyers make more confident decisions and simple options. At Mortgage Coach, we applaud a lot of the things that they're doing. And we, if nothing else, when I think of my backstory and how I founded Mortgage Coach, it was all about, do you wow consistently? Are you consistently providing compliant rate quotes? This is not just good for compliance. This is good for selling. So everybody on this call, are you a rate hacker? And if you are, do you really deserve to be paid more than an internet lender or big bank loan officer if the way you're quoting rates and the way you're delivering that mortgage experience pre-GFE, is it better? Is it more valuable? And I just hope everybody on this call really asks themselves that in an honest and candid way. So Ken, obviously you come at this from a compliance perspective. Remember, most of the folks on this call are MLOs. Again, everybody's got a license now. There are a few mortgage executives, and there's a lot of producing managers and team leaders. So why don't you share from your perspective how important it is to be consistent, how important it is to be forward-thinking. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, thanks. Consistency, I would go with that two different ways. The first way I go at it is each loan officer being consistent in the way they're pricing. And with that, I did mention that you've got to think about your borrowers differently based on the generation they land in. I would not, however, do my edge reports differently based on generation. You want to give everybody access to the same information. It's really important that everybody is treated the same in your office. So if you're shooting out edge reports to just your millennials, then I would argue that you're not actually helping people who are in different categories by age. You're not really helping those people understand, but you are helping millennials, and that can be seen as a fair lending issue. So you'd want to make sure you're sending out to everybody. Even if they're not opening it, you're giving them the opportunity that you're giving to everybody else. The second consistency thing I would say is within office and within company, where the CFPB, when they walk in, is asking about consistency within the process for, what does every borrower feel the same thing? So let's say I'm working with a lot of millennials. Let's say Dave's working with a lot of traditionalists, some of the older folks doing maybe reverse mortgages or doing, whatever. But he's got an older database. If I'm shooting edge reports out to everybody and helping my clients understand the process, and the guy down the hall, Dave, is not doing that, and we have different age brackets, then it could be seen that that company is providing more information to make a decision to its younger people than they are to the older people. And that's what the concern I would have is if a company isn't fully implemented, I would want them to get everybody to be doing the same process for each borrower so that you avoid any of those fair lending risks. Doing an edge report is, obviously it's great because you're giving the borrower more information, but I like, having everybody be doing the same, having everybody do the same thing within the company. So get everybody on those edge.
Yeah, and I just really reach out to everybody from a just being a better salesperson. I can't think of how many loan officers where they really made the breakthrough, where they doubled their business. Someone that was struggling to close 5 loans a month, and boom, they hit the 5 consistently, went to 8, and once you got to 8, going much higher is even easier. It came from delivering something awesome consistently. When you have a different conversation with everybody you meet with, and your sales process is not consistent, you never become amazing. You never become a master at how you drive a presentation. So delivering an edge report to each and every client, it makes you more compliant, but it's the only way you're ever going to become amazing. I mean, awesome at having a borrower conversation that not only is compliant, but converts the borrower and allows the realtor. So hugely important.
Dave,
yeah, go for it.
if I could throw one more thing in, it's so funny when we look at technology and growing your business, I hear a lot of people say, well, what I'm doing right now is working. And I think that's funny because your definition of working needs to be constant growth. And so if you're doing the same amount of loans you were doing or even fewer than you were doing last year, let's say you're consistently funding just exactly 5 loans, then I would argue what you're doing right now is not working. Because working means consistently growing to where you're getting better all the time, not staying the same. And so I talk to a lot of people who look at Kodak, for example. I mean, what they were doing was working just fine, but when new technology rolls in, it just steals that business from them. And so you've got to be aggressively changing your marketing plan. And part of that, from what Aaron was saying, which was probably my favorite part of what Aaron was talking about, is when he said that he sent an edge report to a realtor who then forwarded to all their realtor friends. That is marketing, but you didn't mean to. You were simply providing great information. And so that's the type of stuff that loan officers not changing, not growing, and especially not using technology, those loan officers are going to stay stagnant until they run out of business and have to go find some other employment. It's got to be a constant growth.
I love that challenge. I have so many loan officers that say, well, what I'm doing is working, and to your definition, are you constantly getting better? And then I just reach out to anybody. When you look at this touch point of, quoting the rate, showing mortgage options, what touch point, when you look at all of the touch points prior to winning the business, to the point that you close the business, to the point you get referrals, what's more important than that experience? And I would just make the argument, there's nothing more important than that touch point. And if there's a better way that you could deliver better value, better advice, why not do it each and every time with each and every client. So I mean, this has been a great conversation. I want to do a couple important follow-ups. I am a raving fan of Ken Perry and of the Knowledge Coop. Not only is he a great compliance leader, so for any requirements you have on compliance, I mean, I can't think of anybody that I'd rather spend a day with learning compliance than Ken. It's like, you know, humorous, it's fun, it's intelligent, it's entertaining. So a great teacher and trainer, and then he has the Knowledge Coop, which in my opinion is one of the best innovations, because not only is it a great way for an enterprise to provide compliance training to their sales force, but it's a great way to provide the perfect loan process. So, you know, when a CEO is trying to build culture, they can assign a video that's culture building, make sure everybody has watched that video. When it comes to both the scripts and the training that power a perfect loan process, you know, what do you say before you deliver an edge report? What's that follow-up call sound like? You know, the Knowledge Coop allows you to train and to provide tremendous leadership. So I urge anybody who likes Ken Perry, wants to learn more about his services, reach out to him at kenperry@knowledgecoop.com. Also, just go to his website, go to his blog, connect with him on Facebook. And Ken, is there any other ways that you'd like folks to connect with you and be part of your tribe?
Yeah, jump on knowledgecoop.com and join up there. So that'd be great.
Perfect. So some follow-ups and some homework assignments as we wrap up the call. I want to remind everybody, you know, are you delivering a unique mortgage experience at real estate offices, in open houses? Are you driving that mobile experience? Because that's unique, that's different. It's not only attractive to millennials and Gen Xers, it is attractive to realtors. Realtors love it when they can get mortgage advice on their mobile phone. If you're on this call and you have not gone through the Todd Duncan total selling script, just put Todd Duncan into your app and we'll drive that. Again, because it's important that they understand how you're helping the home buyer in a unique way that helps the realtor get a better conversion rate. If realtors can get a better conversion rate on their home buyers, if you can make that more efficient, more effective, they like you. And at Mortgage Coach, we make that easy for you. So I want other people to join what Dan Keller is doing. Share some pictures of how you're driving mobile experiences. I love this picture of a realtor with a Mortgage Coach mobile experience. Would love to see more pictures like this. And thank you, Dan Keller, for getting the party started. If anybody is not a Mortgage Coach member and you are on this call right now and you would like to get a demo, or if you're a sales manager and a leader and you have other Mortgage Coach members that you would like to get into this process, just answer this survey question right now. I do realize that the majority of you on this call right now are Mortgage Coach members, but some of you may be just in an office and you've got a couple other loan officers watching this call. If you'd like us to reach out and provide you with a demo of Edge and show you how it works, we can do it pretty quick, 30-minute conversation, and you can net it out yourself whether this makes sense for you. So thanks. A lot of you guys went through that. So the homework assignments are: get clear and practice your personal story from Roberto last week and how you share your unique value proposition. Get really good, get really clear on that, and drive a Mortgage Coach experience in a real estate office. That is the homework assignment for today's call. Anybody who's on this call that is in Orlando or Houston, we're going to be doing a couple more Todd Duncan events this week. I'll actually be in Houston on Thursday. So anybody who's in Houston, I'd love to see you. And Joe Patur, our president, is going to be at the Orlando event with Todd Duncan. And just a reminder, we're going to be coming back to California and the West Coast in the coming weeks. So if you're in those markets, we would love to see you at that event. Want to remind you that we do this call every Tuesday. Every Thursday, it's a training call. And if you're new to the Mortgage Coach community, 9 o'clock on Fridays. Again, this call is being recorded, and we're here to help you guys take it to another level. And I just want to thank both Aaron Coker and Ken Perry. We'll get Jack Daly on one of these calls in the next couple of weeks to tell you about his new book. Aaron and Ken, any last words from either one of you before we wrap up today's call?
Just thank you very much for giving me the opportunity and sharing what's working for me. I appreciate it.
Good. I appreciate you, brother. And Ken Perry, any last words from you?
Yeah, I would say it's been great on the call, but also I'd say for those who aren't watching our videos, Dave and I have been putting some videos together for you, so make sure that you catch those. And thank you, Dave, for having me on the call.
Good. Well, hey, I've had a few people ask about links to the videos, so we promoted today's coaching call on Facebook. I am going to, in the comments, put a link to the video with Ken and I, so that'll be in there in a few minutes. Also a link to the Todd Duncan video. And Ken, if there's anything else you want to drive folks to, put it in the comment section on the Mortgage Coach Facebook page of the promotion for today's call.
Sounds good.
All right, guys, this is a wrap. Everybody have a fantastic week, and we'll see you next week with another amazing Mortgage Coach coaching call. Take care.
See you.